Face front, true believers, and welcome to the culmination of the Samaritan path that Netflix started us down, where we recap the journeys of the Devil of Hell's Kitchen, the PI who stood up to the Purple Man, the righteous ex-con turned Power Man, and the kid with the glowing fist. In a show where we uncover the stories the Avengers might not disclose, but we will, as we analyze the Marvel microcosm and finally start Divulging Defenders. Tonight, Dragon, we're talking about a very special episode of Netflix's Defenders. We're talking about Fish in the Jailhouse. Dragon, I swear to God, if there was an Emmy for worst title of an episode, this would be up for it alone. And this doesn't even begin to cover the lunacy that we've had trying to cover this episode. So basically, folks, we've had to reschedule this, Dragon, like 5 times?
Roughly, yes.
Roughly, yes. He's not happy about it. I'm not happy about it. No one's happy about it. You know who's especially not happy about it? You know who's going to come to our doorsteps and beat us up, even though she's a fictional character?
Oh, no, I know who. Oh,
Jessica Jones is going to come beat us up and steal our lunch money, Dragon.
but Jessica!
It's going to happen. Don't even try to pull the Purple Man stunt with her, man. That's just going to piss her off more. Just give her your lunch money. It's like $3. That's all she wants is like $3, like 1990s lunch money. Anyways. Oh boy, so Dragon...
You know I'm sorry, just now you brought that up, it just occurs to me that, oh my god, out of the Defenders, she is the Helga of the Defenders. That's awesome.
Yep. So Dragon, of course, we owe a debt to Jessica Jones, so we are going to get started on our coverage of Jessica Jones Season 2 very soon, probably within the next week. We just have to finish up the Defenders.
It is a rarity for us, folks, because usually it'll be a big change for us, because usually we give the show some breathing room so everybody can see him, but we're hoping that people were jazzed out of their minds for Jessica Jones like we were, so we can just jump right into it. And then I'm finished with Jessica. I finished
I'm about midway through. I'm at the sweet episode 8 spot.
So by the time we finish, episode 8 of Defenders, Tika will most definitely have finished Jessica Jones, and we'll be able to just kind of get right into while the iron's hot, if you will. So the makeup. Unfortunately, we missed Jessica Jones' debut with that tied into International Women's Day. So unfortunately, we missed that. But, we'll be making up for it by just kind of, we're not going to let it cool. We're not going to keep her waiting any longer. We're going to jump to it as fast as humanly possible.
All right, so Dragon, let's get into the episode and just a couple things to riff on before we get into it. I have 2 points. One, I want to know your take on just how bad the title of the episode is. Does it just stick in your craw the same way it does me?
Here's the thing, because I forget. Bear in mind, so at least like the first out of the 5 times we tried going, getting this little shindig together. I was really kind of stewing on like the title at the last minute, thinking like, "Hey, Fish in the Jailhouse." Okay, it's like I was thinking it was gonna be like a clever, maybe like a clever like kind of prison tie, like you have like newbies in a jail cell. And when I was rewatching the episode,
it's really not that.
Yeah, when I was watching the episode, rewatching it in preparation, I was wondering if, did I miss, a line that's, clever, like maybe Misty Knight having, a clever little thing saying, "You guys are like fish in a jailhouse in here," or something. But, no, not at all. It's just really completely... It's not clever. It's without point.
It's pretentious, Dragon. That's what it is. I think pretentious is the perfect word.
And here's the thing. The titles of the Netflix series, if you notice, they usually have either a purpose, like a clever... It's either kind of like a Dexter payoff with
Jessica Jones has the best titles out of all the Netflix shows on.
Jessica Jones has the Breaking Bad titles, if you will. So Jessica Jones and Daredevil to an extent has kind of the Breaking Bad effect with a title that's clever, in reference to something within the episode. And like Iron Fist, it's like Iron Fist and Luke Cage.
Iron Fist.
No, follow me on this. Iron Fist and appropriate Luke Cage, and I like this. I love that they all are mainly Iron Fist. They're all tied into a theme. They all have a running theme with them. So
you know what? You're right. Iron Fist. Now that I think about it, it actually does have a nice every episode's a fighting move. That's true.
And that's the thing. Luke Cage is a similar thing. I think his are named after
a rap song.
That's the thing. So I love that they both have thematic things like that. They all have clever little title thing with the main 4 defenders.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Okay, and Dragon, my second point. I was actually listening to I've listened to way too much podcast coverage of this episode just to get all the points in my head as I possibly can.
You should have listened to Trish Talk.
Believe me, Dragon, if they would have released they need to release a Trish Talk podcast. I would listen to that.
Well, they did it for The Dark Knight with Mike Engel. Why can't they do it with Trish Walker? Anyway.
Anyway, so one of the podcasts brought up the point, like, actually, John Schnepp himself, Dragon, because I watched Collider.
Collider.
John Schnepp, he brought up the point, like, how many minutes do we actually spend in the jailhouse in this episode, in the 42 minutes that this episode is on, and how much of it is just wasted time? Dragon, I timed it out, and we spend roughly half the episode in the jailhouse, and then the other half is either spent on, you know, the Danny Rand and Elektra and the hand stuff, or the big finale that takes place in the episode, you know, after they actually get out of the jailhouse. So I just want to bring that up. Like, half this episode is just like Misty Knight, like, you know, you better answer my question, or I'm just going to ask it again in another 15 minutes. Oh, yeah, you go in that room, because I'll just confront you in another room. Dragon, this episode is pretty bad, am I right?
It's out of all the episodes. Honestly, I've kind of zeroed it down to this. Again, I have a lot of time to reflect on this episode, so I've kind of found more.
We're gonna give the most thorough study of Fish in a Jailhouse that there's ever been on the internet, folks. I promise.
I gotta tell you, really thinking about it, I had this in the first go around. I just wanted to bring it up now because I have time just to kind of reflect on it even further. Is that this episode, I'm convinced, is the one that broke, like, kind of is responsible for kind of the infamy of the Defenders of the series. This is the episode that kind of breaks the season. I shouldn't say.
I absolutely agree.
Maybe not breaks it, but it's the one that it's where the cracks emanate from. It's like kind of the main. It's the point of the epicenter of the cracks in Defenders, if you will.
No, that's a perfect way to put it, Dragon. Perfect way to put it.
It's the epicenter of the earthquake that kind of brings down New York for the Defenders, and Defenders have to rise up through the kind of the earthquake and the chaos, if you will.
I mean, that's kind of it's still got like an iconic moment in it with the subway scene, which we'll get to. But
yeah.
All right. So let's get into it, Dragon. Let's get into the plot.
Yes.
Oh, God. I hate Google. I hate Google so much, Dragon. Just continue, Dragon. Get to the plot, please.
The plot. Okay, the plot goes a little something like this, folks. So the Defenders face the legal ramifications for their misadventures. The Hand, meanwhile, worries about their new leader because, you know, now I'm in charge. Isn't that right, Danny? Oh, Danny, we're going to have so much fun. We're going to go down to the cave.
My best friend, Danny Rand.
We're going to play. Jessica's not going to like it. We're going to play. It's going to be fun. Anyway, so the Hand worries about their new leader, Elektra, who they are scared to death of. We essentially spin our wheels at the precinct until the Defenders escape and go to Midland Circle, where all the action is. Elektra goads Danny into using the Iron Fist as the Defenders face 3 fingers of the Hand. Misty.
Me. Do you know who I am, Colleen?
Sorry. Misty.
No,
Misty...
no, answer my question, Colleen. Which finger am I?
You're the pinky Bakudo.
I'm the middle finger. All right, moving on.
Anyway, so speaking of Colleen, so Misty, Colleen, and Claire join the fun, and in the end, Iron Fist unlocks a very cryptic dragon skeleton. And that's where the episode ends.
It's like literally a Universal Studios set. It's like, it feels like Harry Potter. Not to jump the gun. All right, let's get to Discerning Daredevil.
Yes. Okay.
So, Matt is probably the best thing about this episode, I think. The interesting thing that I got from this episode, Dragon, is that Matt Murdock is one of the very few people in the Marvel Cinematic Universe to still be holding on to a secret identity. And at this point, I feel like the secret identity thing and the drug addiction and kind of, you know, the parallels that we've been drawing to that through Matt's whole arc throughout his entire, you know, 2 seasons of Daredevil, it really does kind of come to a pass with the moment with Foggy and the moment with Karen. You know, they have 2 pivotal moments together. And I really did like the moment with Karen, especially. I've heard people criticize that moment for being kind of like one note, very like writing school 101, the whole like, Karen, this is my life. But Dragon, I like how to the point that is.
I have a different problem with that scene, but well, I guess I can get into it now a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, so my issue with that scene with with Karen is that it's very ill timed. It's not that it's a bad scene. It's just like it's not really. It's basically it's them trying to get Karen and Matt to have an interaction before the big business of episode of the finale, and we have to give them a scene together before that, and it just feels kind of forced in there. That's all, and it feels like it's not really like. It feels like a rushed in kind of like last minute scene. That's what kind of bugs me about that one. Let's see.
Okay, but yeah, to be fair, I think the whole episode is filled with like I honestly, Dragon, you don't. I feel like this whole episode was just like, hey, we need to get all the supporting characters together, but we don't want to spend a lot of time and money to have them in separate locations.
So again, folks,
like cram it in for like 3 days. You know what I mean?
That's the thing, and believe me, as much as I think each of these characters. Unfortunately, even our beloved Luke Cage, when we get to him, let's not jump to him right now. I'm just saying, like, even with our beloved Luke Cage, everyone kind of bears a bit of blame for this episode in a way. Basically, something connects to each of our characters or segments here that kind of is kind of another point taken away from the episode. This episode is the most fault-ridden episode of all 8 of them. Mm-hmm. So let's just going through Matt's arc here, just kind of tracing some of that kind of ways and just how the majority of where we're going with Matt. So Matt, he's put through his worst nightmare and he's facing the morning after realities of his worst nightmare. So I love where we open with Matt. I really do. He's kind of waking up in the precinct, and again his identity's in jeopardy. He's lost. Think about it. If you're Matt Murray, you wake up and it's kind of like realizing, oh my god, it wasn't a dream almost. Where he lost Stick. He's proverbially lost Elektra. His secret is in jeopardy, which means there's no guarantee that he's going to come out of this unscathed because people come looking at his practice, which is already kind of again, it's not really super in jeopardy, but he's like a lone lawyer now, who's kind of doing a lot of pro bono cases. So I don't know how Matt might face trouble paying the bills. Foggy's and also he endangers Foggy's practice. All of this because of his addiction. So Matt's really feeling the brunt of all this season, this episode, when he comes out of this, and he can't, and all of this going on, he can't process it amongst this very imminent threat to New York and Iron Fist, because he knows all of this is going on. And I can't let myself.
I don't mind that as much because I've kind of like, maybe it's that I know drug addiction a little bit more because my family, it's like something that kind of runs in the family a little bit. So to me, it kind of resonates with me a little bit. The idea that, like, yeah, he should, by all intents and purposes, logically be able to figure it out. But
that's not a problem. I'm just saying that's cool. I like that.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So it's looking at a
brief moment with Matt and Foggy where Matt kind of chokes up a little. He's like, Stick. She killed Stick.
That's my favorite moment of acting.
I'm glad you like that. I'm glad you honed in on that like I did.
I was going to say that for a little later, but Charlie Cox, he gives one of his best performances in that moment in this episode when he's just seeing him take it in, knowing the connection that he had to Stick. And Charlie Cox just he can snap into that where he's just
a very cantankerous relationship through and through, but still a father figure.
I know, and he just sells it. It's like such a brief moment. My God, Charlie Cox I can't say enough nice things about that guy as an actor. But anyway, so yeah, that's what I'm saying. That moment kind of circles back to what I'm saying is that Matt he's internalizing all of that strife that's going on in his head right now, and he's got to deal with this amidst dealing with New York and Iron Fist. He can't really absorb it aside from that little moment with Stick. He can't really feel all of that. He's just got to move forward and just kind of find a way around it, even though it's kind of a downward spiral for him. And you'll notice again, basically, this episode is where all the bad stuff happens to Matt Murdock, because his usual lawyer talent that we've seen work for him time and time again is really it's allowing him to tread these very precarious waters with the police here are really gunning for him, and his usual lawyer charm isn't working to the best of its abilities. But he's just using all of that he has in him is allowing him to tread water where usually he'd be gliding across the water.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think the only thing that kind of carries him through this episode is thanks to his the faith of his friends, Foggy and Karen, he can lead the charge. And again, he's kind of clinging on to dear life because of those connections that he has made.
And I also like how those connections kind of like he's in good company. Like I like how he chuckles at Jessica's wisecracks in this episode. It's another little Charlie Cox-ism.
It was kind of poetic about where we kind of go with Matt in the broad spectrum of the season in relation to Stick. Is that, he is living out Stick's dream, but on his own terms by the end. He's been denying this war. He's at a place where, okay, Stick died because of this war, and, he's he's facing it like, I'm trying not to kill anyone. I don't want to do it the way Stick always wanted me to, but I gotta face this. I gotta lead the charge. I'm thrust into the leadership position. And it's like all this trauma that he's faced, with the hand and everything. He's just basically he's ending the source. He's ending the source of all his life's woes, because all this stuff with Elektra, all this stuff with Stick, all of it is emanating from the hand. All of this complex relationship with Stick, it is because of the hand, the whole hand chased war. So Matt's really trying to kind of close the loop on the mark that the hand is left on. Whether, again, it's never been like in your face the mark the hand is left on Matt Murdock, because again, it's just been kind of the Stick was always just kind of like an element of his background. Okay, we knew about this, and he kind of drifts in and out. And it's about the blind kid from Hell's Kitchen who learned how to fight, and he fought crime. But you do realize that, again, the hand does definitely have its claws within Matt Murdock. He's kind of finally digging those claws out. It's a painful process. It's all get out. Losing Stick, losing Elektra, losing everybody.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Alrighty. Hopefully Google doesn't betray me this time. Let's get into betrayal.
Okay, so let's begin.
Yeah.
Unlocking Cage.
Dragon, Luke Cage is kind of along for the ride at this point.
I felt so bad for Luke Cage in this episode. I really did, because
here's just like he's sitting it out the rest of this show. He really is. He has a couple cool action beats, but that's really about it.
One of my biggest gripes is with what we do with Luke Cage's story here, is because unfortunately Luke takes a back seat in this episode. About his payoff of being
Mike Coulter feeling awkward about not having lines, Dragon. That's the thing. You can feel Mike Coulter's pain.
Here's the thing that bugs me, though, okay? Here's the thing. All right, so this is an episode that really, and then here's the missed opportunity. So unfortunately,
I know what you're going to say. Go ahead, lay down the thunder.
Two things. It's two things. So Luke, unfortunately, is taking a backseat in an episode that really, with the title, here's what the title actually would have made sense, Tiki, Fish in a Jailhouse. Luke Cage's fear from the beginning of Defenders was that he hesitated, and he's the reason. He blames himself for Cole Miller's death because, there's a hesitation because of the police and being an ex-con. And, even with Stick, he had that moment about, like, oh, yes, the righteous ex-con. So, again, the whole ex-con thing, and we got, like, a glimpse of it, like, Luke dealing with the police, but the whole episode should have been Luke's episode dealing with the legal system here, being in the very, trepidatious.
But instead, it's literally like Misty is just like, oh, I trust you, Luke. You're the one I trust the most, so don't worry about it. We're just going to give you VIP treatment.
So one, there's a huge missed opportunity, and he's in this very precarious legal position that again would have paid off all the stuff we were doing with Luke Cage with his character.
By the way, can we talk about the legal position where it's like I love the story that Luke and Jessica Jones kidnapped their lawyer.
That is kind of funny.
Go ahead.
And but the other thing, though, and this is the thing that really ticks me off, is that literally poor Mike Coulter, this wonderful actor, he's unconscious because Stick knocked him out in the previous episode, and instead of doing anything with Luke, we have Misty, and Colleen talk about Luke. Oh, sorry, not Misty. We have Colleen. We have Colleen.
No, Dragon. I think the terminology you're looking for. You have Misty and
Colleen.
All right.
No, but actually it wasn't. Well, we had a bit of it with Misty.
That we didn't come up with that joke like in episode 2, folks. We would have really dug it into the ground.
But seriously, actually, I think it's less. Misty does have a bit of this here and there, but the main scene I'm talking about is between Claire and Colleen. And again, we also have a big missed opportunity with Claire, where again, Matt wakes up and hey. We just haven't mentioned offhand by Foggy, like, oh yeah, Claire patched you up. I wanted to see that scene, darn it! Come on! I mean, we literally one of the biggest letdowns is that Claire, aside from one scene in the next episode, we don't address how she's the Coulson, how she's the glue of all these shows. Not one moment do we address that.
Yeah, I mean, Colleen has that one. It's like a nibble, right?
I mean, just like, the whole, like, hey, Luke Cage, meet Iron Fist. That's all we get with that.
Hmm.
The whole series, but here's what ticks me out with poor Luke Cage here is that he's unconscious. Instead of actually having following Luke Cage and seeing what he'd do in this precarious situation, we have Claire and Colleen having this conversation with Luke in the room unconscious. But oh yeah, Luke's such a good man. He's like, I trust that Luke Cage. Like, they're talking about how cool Luke Cage is. Guys, look. I appreciate the praise about good old Luke Cage, but we know this. We know how good he is. We know.
Exactly.
I don't need this reminded of. I want to know what Luke would think in this position. I don't want to just see him unconscious. So
yeah, it's a waste. It's a waste.
What we do actually get with Luke Cage is like one moment where, Luke I think
the best moment with Luke is just the fight with Madame Gao.
Oh sure. Well, also, I always love it when,
like, in terms of action beats, but character-wise, what do we get?
Well, it's more Murakami. I love whenever Luke punches Murakami. We do get that a few times.
But I do love the Madame Gao like force pushing Luke though, and she's force pushing Luke.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But yeah, I mean, what we do have with character-wise is that Luke is kind of being forthright with the police department about the hand. Like, there's no dancing around it. Like, he's just being direct, like, hey, you guys cannot handle the hand. All right, I'm not going to tell you anything because you're going to get yourselves killed. And he is offering to help, which is what Luke Cage would do. So I like that. Again, that's kind of the payoff. But again, we do kind of waste a lot of time with Luke, so we don't do anything beyond just that logical endpoint of what we get with Luke.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I like that. There is a real concern for Danny Rand. I think that comes to light more in the next episode. I'm just saying we kind of go there with them.
Can we just also address what do you think about Misty just being very repetitive this episode?
Yeah, Misty is a big problem with this episode. This is now Misty had I talked
for a moment to shine in episode 8. I just wanted to see that earlier.
Yeah, I mean, we had in episode 2. Basically, this episode it's kind of the same in episode 2 when she has her big first interrogation with Jessica Jones. The way she starts that scene is a little bit like kind of step backwards Misty from all the development we had with Luke Cage. But then they fixed that though. It worked its way out. When Matt Murdock enters the scene and everything, that's when we start to improve things. Now here, what we do with Misty is basically that negative stuff I was bringing up in that second episode. It's so random. Here's what we do. Okay, Jessica Jones wakes up in the exact same scene we did episode 2, where she wakes up and Misty is being the exact same way with her. Let me remind you.
Groundhog's Day scenario.
And here's the thing: Misty even brings this up. It's so. I'm sorry, folks. I'm losing myself because it's so baffling and dumb. Is that Misty? They are working together. They know this. Like, her being curt with with Jessica Jones is because that was before everyone teamed up and everything. Before they're protecting their loved ones and witness in the police department. And, they're all on the same side at that point. They're all up to date. Okay, she's looped in. She knows about the hand. She knows about et cetera, et cetera. Why is she still in the dark? And why is she giving Jessica Jones the third degree? They know they're on the same side. Why are we playing these games again before literally in the same scene, like halfway it goes through, and then there's a moment like Missy just like Simone Missick, she just makes this turn of like, so yeah, like, I'll remind you, all your friends are here. Then she goes like kind of good cop, bad cop, but it's only one cop. It's like, why didn't you start with that, Misty? Just reminding her of that. Why dance around it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
ridiculous. We got amnesia. It's ridiculous.
All right.
Yeah, it's so again, we already mentioned the whole Claire thing.
There was more to say about Luke, but that's the problem. He just kind of gets benched this episode.
I mean, again, last thing too, because we kind of end on the episode with Luke here, and we kind of do a little bit of this in the beginning, is that we kind of reach this whole ethical bomb planting thing, and Luke is kind of bringing the moral high ground on the issue, which is it's classic Luke Cage.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, so let's move on to. Sadly, Dragon, Jessica's just kind of along for the ride too. She has some great snark. Jessica Jones is always very snarky.
Yeah, again, as I said, was kind of going on about with Misty, is that basically have a deja vu scene with Jessica and Misty, and unfortunately,
Yeah, I mean, this episode is just like it's baseline Jessica Jones. You know what I mean? It's just like it's all the snark, but without the complexity to her. It's and I like it. I think the best thing I can say about the Jessica Jones thing is that you can see Matt just accepting her more and more as he's like just chuckling at her jokes and stuff. But that's it. Like that's it. There's really not a lot else.
yeah. And again, it just feels like we're regressing. It just feels like we're regressing, and I think Misty kind of poisons the Jessica Jones stuff in this episode because there's not a lot of Jessica Jones stuff there. So again, like the main thing we have with Jessica Jones, aside from the fun scene that we're going to talk about later on, is really all we get with Jessica in this episode. And it also, I mean, Jessica's again, if this episode isn't Luke Cage's episode like it should be, it really should be Jessica Jones's episode because again, they both have found themselves in police stations a lot and in these very precarious situations where Jessica,
but instead, they're just like totally just pushed off to the side, like, nope, you guys don't matter.
Exactly. So again, so it's a lot of missed opportunity and potential.
Like Luke Cage with some respect, Jessica Jones with basically kind of like she gets pushed out the door.
Well, let me blow your mind with this, Steve. Tell me this wouldn't make any sense here. I mean, tell me this. This should have gone down this way. How does this episode not have Jerry Hogarth in it?
Oh God, yep.
That's what I'm saying, right? Because I mean, if Luke's not, this episode could be really good. If you had like a static kind of, we're in the Harlem police station. With this episode, again, you have Luke kind of contemplating things, and you have Jessica Jones being proactive, dealing with Jerry Hogarth and everything. Maybe you have, I don't know, here's maybe an awesome scene. Have Matt Murdock and Jerry Hogarth kind of co-lawyer strategize. I don't know.
Yeah, it's wasted potential there.
And like she's not leading
Ann Moss was just too expensive.
And like and Jessica of all people would be leading the escape. Instead, this episode she's just hanging out and she's on board until like her main big thing of the episode is like, hey, got a Metro card. That's all. Like so. Jessica Jones is like basically
I like how simplistic that is.
It's like they look around for a beat and just Jessica goes in her pocket. Hey, Metro card.
So yeah, that's really all there is to investigate with Jessica, sadly. We don't get the Trish moment until episode 8, right?
Yeah, you're right. We don't get it till late.
Yeah, all right. Moving right along.
Oh,
Danny, my best friend, and we're going to play. I'm going to tie him up, and it's going to be so fun.
Now, honestly, this is going to sound
Iron Fist.
This is going to sound bizarre, but this shows you it's a topsy-turvy.
Has the best character arc in this episode.
This tells you this is a sign that's a topsy-turvy episode, folks. Because honestly, the Iron Fist Elektra stuff is the strongest stuff in the episode.
It's not great, right? Like it's not like compelling TV by any stretch, but
but I mean, getting
Young's performance, and she's just toying around with Danny Rand. So
I mean, I really like how Elektra's written. I think that helps boost the Danny Rand stuff. So I'm saying like her stuff, her scenes with Danny help boost what the Iron Fist story is going for. So at least I feel like we're actually doing stuff with Iron Fist's arc for the season in this episode.
Yeah, I agree, which is more that can be said for 2 out of the 4 main defenders, and I feel like it's less sloppily handled than Matt Murdock's arc in some cases. Like it's less involved than Matt Murdock's arc in this episode, but at the same time it's more clean, if that makes sense.
All right. Now while we're gonna get into some stuff about Iron Fist here, he doesn't quite get away scot-free, but let's just
Oh Danny, we almost got it. We almost got away, Danny.
Okay, let's see. So we have kind of the so this episode kind of begins the arc of, and I really like where we go in the next 2 episodes with Danny Rand, I really do, with kind of broadly where they intimate his story is going, where he begins the arc of this episode of evolving the Iron Fist role from a symbol of, with Kunlun, the guardian of Kunlun and everything, to being a superhero. And I like how we start that arc here, and that's really good. And again, so the previous episode, we put an end to that, where Danny has the wake-up call of realizing, basically when Stick tried to kill him, he's kind of realized, Kunlun really isn't exactly what I thought it was. And, Alexandra in her last moment, she kind of spelled that out to him, like, hey, the hand, we were bred from Kunlun. We don't want to destroy home. You've been trained, like, you've been kind of half-cocked this whole time. You've been told, like, hey, destroy the hand at all costs. Really, you're not a trained soldier or anything. You're a guard who can't do his job right. That, And you've been misinformed. We're not even trying to destroy Kunlun. We want to go home. So again, but I love the idea now now his worldview's been kind of blown up a little bit, where he's just kind of back into like a place of, well, what do I do now? He's now kind of mulling things over. Okay, what if I took that symbol of what I once was and eventually kind of turned it into something else, something useful that is kind of inspired by his friends. More on that in the next episode. But what I love is that we do have a good parallel between Iron Fist and Elektra, because these are both characters who were symbols to their causes. And Elektra, smartly, she called, now Elektra's kind of, she's kind of all together now. She's kind of in the enlightened state where she's kind of like where we have Winter Soldier.
Now, that's my favorite Beatles song.
Yeah, she's very much like
I genuinely apologize. Go ahead.
He's very much like the Winter Soldier we have now in Civil War. Like now he's all, he remembers everything. Now he's back to basics, back to normal. Mm-hmm. Where she's calling him out on this blind allegiance that he had. This kind of this blind allegiance, and now this scene with Elektra is kind of getting into a place of questioning. Okay, yeah, I never really thought about what next. So he did somewhat get closure. The jury's out. The jury's a little out on like if he got closure with what Alexandra said. Again, I assume she was telling the truth about we just want to go home. Really, we had no intentions on destroying Kunlun. Yeah, again, it's a little unreliable, but
yeah.
But basically, what he takes away from this is, hey, do something for yourself. From Elektra, that's kind of what he learns there. It's like, hey, don't do anything because you've been told to by your masters. You've been pigeonholed by your masters all this time.
Kind of like the rebellious teenage daughter teaching her tween brother like how to smoke or something.
In a way, yes. It's like, oh, Danny, I'm going to teach you some bad habits. We're going to
exactly.
We're going to sneak out. We're going to go to the movies and see
it's going to be an R-rated movie, Danny, not even PG-13.
It's to be a pirate movie. Get it, Danny? R.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
It's a pirate joke.
Okay, that got me, Dragon. Oh, my God.
Anyway.
Oh, I need a minute.
Okay. So I like that he's. Well, okay. Let me talk about what I don't like. This. My issue is that unfortunately, again, we do have some good character stuff and kind of transitioning Danny from that point of like, okay, I'm kind of at kind of tabula rasa here in terms of my character arc. Well, okay, now I don't really know what to do. And Elektra's kind of guiding him with like lightly kind of putting some dots out for him to follow. Like, okay, where am I going next? Unfortunately, this doesn't take away from the fact that he is very easily manipulated into unlocking Kunlun's secret.
Yeah, incredibly. And that's always been the problem with Danny Rand, is that he just kind of goes wherever the wind blows.
Yeah.
And also, it's consistent.
Now, speaking of consistent, my biggest gripe with the entire episode, and this is why this episode really cripples the season in various reasons. This episode is kind of the cancer that kind of spreads through the plot in many respects. Because, and I don't exaggerate too much with that, because this episode has the biggest flaw in the entire season. We have the huge misstep of being super vague with potentially a path to Kunlun. This whole dragon skeleton reveal makes no sense. It makes some. Here's the thing: they're very vague about, does this skeleton actually lead to Kunlun, or is it just a random dragon skeleton that is under New York for some reason?
Yeah. It's not great.
That's the thing. Like I think the smart assumption is that if you went down the path like where that dragon skeleton, like that little hallway with the dragon spine and everything leads, you're gonna if you kept walking down there, you'd end up in Kunlun, and the whole like we want to go home plot would make a lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Otherwise, it's like just randomly.
The disappointment about the dragon skeleton isn't the plot logistics; it's just the fact that it looks so lame. It's like we've waited all this time for dragons, and it's like that's It's...
Well, look, I don't mind the skeleton. I just wish they would, like.
If you would have shown up, that would have been more exciting.
Hardy hard. But you see what I'm saying? It's a big misstep when you've been building the same, but it's like your big MacGuffin essentially. It's okay, but they're going after it, and we reveal it's a dragon skull. I mean, yeah, but I wish they would just say it in the next episode, which they don't. Spoiler alert. Is that they don't say, hey, we'll gather the stuff we need to be immortal from the skeleton, from the bones, and then we'll go to Kunlun, which is just down the street essentially.
Yep.
New York will fall, we'll be safe in Kunlun, we'll be immortal, it'll be great. We don't do any of that. I get it's not if they want to just make a dragon scale on New York, I can learn to live with that. But I need to know, like, is that all that's down there? Is it's not? It's just really, it's really vague, and it's anyway.
It just kind of takes the bite away from the whole motivation.
I'm just saying, like, at the end of the episode with Danny is like it's a big mind blowing moment of okay, he's kind of open up to a second chance here of like, okay, maybe I can kind of do something like maybe Elektra's saying some stuff that makes sense. And then it's like, whoa, big dragon skill and big link to Kunlun as we have that big, pan out shot where again I don't know what to make of that shot. I was looking at how are we looking at this? First of all, I mean, I get it's like, hey, the dragon's
like, how are we looking at something that's already underground?
Yeah, like, is it Xiao Lao? Is it the same dragon?
I totally hear you. My mind goes crazy with logistics and that kind of stuff too.
Because that's the thing, like the way that like the gag is, okay, the dragon is in the shape
and then
of
if that's the case, like if it's like if let's say that we the audience are seeing it, like it's one of those things where it's like, like remember like those classic cartoon gags where it pans down from the living room, and then you see the the dinosaur bones buried underneath the house. If it's like that, then how the hell is Danny Rand seeing it?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and I get what they're going. The reason they do it that way, so you can see, oh, it looks just like the symbol on his chest. It must be from Kunlun,
I honestly think we're spending far too much time on this because it's such a bogus reveal. It's just.
I'm just saying, seriously, it does really weaken the plot for the season. This is what they've been after this whole time.
You're right. You're right about that.
Okay, anyway, so moving on from that. So that's just that big...
Let's get to fingerprints of the hand, Colleen.
Okay, so...
Folks, in case you're not up to speed, we just, for some reason, Dragon and I just find it really amusing how Bakudo pronounces Colleen.
Well, it's the calling thing's great. That's the cherry on top. I'm sure it's the cockiness of the delivery. He's just so goofy.
This is not how we conduct business. And
Tiki's not exaggerating. Here's the thing: Tiki's exaggerating like a percent or two.
No, I think I'm doing a pretty accurate.
That's the thing. He's
imitation. Honestly,
he's remarkably close. That's the thing. That's the scary about it. It's like more of like it's like a fun it's like more like out of context thing. But if you look at it in context, it's like really he's not far off.
You are a child. You know nothing of power.
Anyway, so more silliness on Bakudo in the next episode. But getting with the hand, though, let's start with Elektra, because Elektra was the big change in status quo.
Elektra is the standout of the episode, because I think we're seeing with the hand is genuinely really good. It's really fun. It's just like, oh, I don't care about your immortal power. I just want to have fun and be free and run around with my friend Danny. And hey, if we find the dragon skeleton, then that'll be fun too.
Hey, Danny, maybe we'll find a scale and we'll sing a little rhyme and we'll go to a whole magical place on PBS.
Yup.
Anyway, okay, seriously though. Elektra, though, now she's in charge and she's in that enlightened version where now she's making decisions of her own volition. She's kind of no one's puppet. And what I love here is that it feels very much like classic Elektra. She's on her own side, and she's using the hand. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
It's very true to the character. And it's like, okay, so it's Elektra running the hand. And you've had stories like that where usually Elektra comes back from the dead and she kind of she turns on the hand, despite the hand bringing her back. So we kind of do something a little, akin to that. So that's cool. Just, Elektra's at the end of the day, she'll never be a full-fledged good guy or a full-fledged bad guy. She'll always be kind of in the middle somewhere. And I love that her primary interest, and again, the Alexandra of it all, is that it does kind of stem from. Basically, her interest lies in not dying again because she hates that feeling that came from death where she's just kind of wandering in darkness for eternity. And she hates that feeling. That's what she fears. She fears being alone. And we're going to see that pay off in the next episode. Where that fundamentally is what she's trying to avoid. And again, she does raise various good points about Danny Rand, about them both being these destiny-driven figureheads, both literally figureheads, because the gripe that the hand had with Alexandra is that, hey, you're betting all of our chips on this one thing that we're really either deathly afraid of or just questioning the reliability of your super weapon. If if she strikes Goo eyes with Matt Murdock, we're all done for.
Sure, sure.
So so again, like looking at these, so Elektra, based on all that, she knows how to really kind of strike a chord with Danny Rand, saying, you held yourself back with your masters, that you've forsaken, that you even turned your back on these guys, probably for a reason, because you wanted more out of life, like I do. And and she killed and honestly, where she's at now with her arc is that she's at a place very much like where we're kind of seeing her in Daredevil season 2, where she's killing. Her killer instinct is continuing. She's on a path of independence from Daredevil season 2, where she was kind of being inducted into the Hand. She just learned about what the term the Black Sky was. But at the end, again, she was siding with Matt Murdock. She was siding with Daredevil. But again, she's a killer who can never be a full-fledged good guy. That's kind of what she realizes, and she makes peace with it. I want to stay alive. I need this stuff to stay alive. You guys want to tag along and kind of do all the heavy lifting by all means. But I'm just going to get that substance so I can stay alive. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to kill people because that's why I'm not even going to try not to kill people.
Sure.
And she does get results. I love that in the beginning, she does get results before she kind of strikes all this, like, hey, I'm the high and mighty right now. Like, and she does get results, one in capturing Iron Fist, but especially in, as silly as it is, she does goad Iron Fist into slipping up and kind of giving him everything she wants. She does all this in record time. If she was leading the charge from the beginning, the show would be over in 3 episodes.
It's a shame, though, because with Alexandra, she was built up so well, but then I feel like Alexandra even lost her way. Like, I feel like once the Hand came in, it was like, you cannot do this by your own, Alexandra. I feel like once the Hand became a unit, Alexandra became less interesting, and right when Alexandra was starting to get interesting again, they killed her. So it's like, yeah, Elektra is a lot of fun, but it's at a cost.
I will say this, and this has occurred to me, like on the time we've had the stew on this. I know what really could have unsoured all the taste, all the kind of bad taste that Alexandra left in everyone's mouth over this. Is that I feel, and we're going to talk about a certain scene later on, but I feel this episode really should have opened with a flashback. I'm saying, tying into all the Hand stuff, we could have opened the episode on a flashback of Alexandra in the past, basically in Kunlun. We could have actually seen Kunlun. It would have been a good glimpse that we've never seen. We haven't even seen proper Kunlun done on Iron Fist. We've seen glimpses.
It's fucking ridiculous.
I'm saying, imagine this thing. Let me paint you a picture real quick. It's very simply, we should have, Alexandra got killed off at the end of the last episode. So we open the next episode. If you're like binging this, like, next episode, flashback to them getting excommunicated from Kunlun, and basically all of them kind of teaming up and forging a path and like seeing we're gonna do something better, and basically in a position of all of we're gonna form the Hand, we're gonna do all this stuff, like victory is like at our fingertips, and then we cut to now where Alexandra's body is dead on the ground. We just cut from then to now.
Yeah, totally.
That's how I would have in terms of like with the Hand stuff, kind of juxtaposing those two things, then maybe get into the Jailhouse right after that. That's how I would have structured the episode.
And I don't think the cold open is bad at all. As a matter of fact, I do have it as one of my favorite moments.
But, it's not bad cold. I'm just saying that I think would have given us that big needed Alexandra scene. I think would have kind of made her a little bit more
I think everyone agrees we needed a flashback in some way, shape, or form to Alexandra. I mean, that was like one of the big key things that was missing there.
And I think that would have shown like her as the important leader, like the reason she was at the top. It would have given us some closure on why she was so important a little, like how she formed the goal, and now how Elektra's kind of carried on the legacy from that goal.
Mm-hmm.
That was just my 2 cents. Anyway, so let's talk about the Hand trio, the 3 caballeros of the Hand.
We're 3 caballeros, Colleen. We're birds of a feather.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's caballeros, but
caballeros.
I'm saying when we did that when we talked about that Disney thing, I've been hearing caballeros the whole time, even though it's spelled that anyway.
Anyways.
So the Hand trio. Honestly, my problem was with the trio here is that they really blow. Here's the thing: it's a good action scene, but we really blow our wad with the 3-on-3 fight. Because again, we're going to really repeat a lot of this in the next episode.
You're not wrong at all.
It feels like we just should have taken all of this and just put it in the next episode.
But that's the thing. I feel like this episode, the writers were probably self-aware that they needed some kind of punch.
And ordinarily, again, if you look at like a Daredevil season 1 episode, you could have an episode without action and be fully satisfied with like kind of like people like you could have Daredevil and a Russian kind of
Well,
basically in a battle
I think
episode.
episode 9 of season 1 is a great example of something like that.
I think 10's Nelson versus Murdoch. Is that what you're thinking of?
I'm thinking of Nelson versus Murdoch. Yeah,
Exactly. That one's very skimpy, if anything. Like you have one brief sequence of like him fighting crime for the first time. That's about it. And it's an excellent example, Tiki. Yes.
and also the episode where they're defending the Punisher in court.
Oh yeah, of course. Yes, definitely. All right, let's see. So the Hand members seem to definitely have lost their mystique and menace a little, losing since they've lost Alexandria, because now they're in the opening and it's like, okay, things are completely in chaos. That's not how we do things. It's just they're like Elektra's just like she's like a shot of cold water in the face. It's like a splash of cold water in the face. Like, hey guys, snap out of it. We're gonna get results. I don't care about this whole secrecy, covertly running your secret holdings.
Like the point that Elektra makes, like, if you're so powerful, then why are you like in hiding, like in these subterranean layers the whole time? You can't even really go out in public. Like, what's the deal with that?
I think Elektra's on fire with the writings. I'm so glad that she held up on the rewatch of this. I like that Elektra held.
I agree.
So let me say this. I think I have a perfect analogy for why the Hand stuff falters just down to a silly little.
Okay, go for it.
Imagine if Elektra said this. How scary is a hand missing 2 fingers?
God. Pretty much.
Because again, it's a hand. It's like, you have this big ominous symbol. It's the hand. You have 5 heads of the hand. Ooh, and it's like, okay, now it's 3, but they're called the hand. Ah. I don't know. It's silly. All right. Well, that's all I got for that. You got anything else? Any Bakuto stuff you want to?
Oh, any Bakuto? I don't know.
I just love when Murakami gets hit in the face. So aside from that, really good.
Murakami is the worst member of the Hand, Colleen. We don't need him. You can take his place beside us. All right, I'm done. Anyways, let's move on to Excelsior Expectations. Oh God.
All right. Let's see. So again, I think.
God.
What?
What does this episode do that goes above and beyond Dragon? I'm really struggling here.
No, we got Charlie Cox's performance again. Just gotta definitely kind of highlight that. The Foggy's arc is nice. Foggy's arc of kind of like begrudgingly, he's kind of come to a point of it.
I will say, the like we'll get to it, but the subway scene might be the definitive group scene of the series.
Okay. Again, I think the Iron Fist Elektra parallel was really strong.
And Elektra in general, like you said, very nice that she paid off on a rewatch.
Let's see. Oh yes. Well, no, just those. No. I realized I had some, but I don't want to give it away for your thing later on.
Oh, okay.
Okay. We utilize. I like that we're utilizing, New York and kind of staples of New York with one of my moments coming up. So I like that we're kind of using the New York setting here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I love how we utilize Midland Circle. I love how Midland Circle was kind of the big thing. It was always like it's where the defenders met and it's where they're kind of going for their ending. So again, Midland Circle, no pun intended, or at least how Elektra would put it. It's like a story-wise, it's like a big circle. It's like a big friendly circle that all comes around.
Or as George Lucas would put it, it's like poetry. It rhymes.
Instead of a circle of life, it's a circle of death. Ooh.
I love that little ooh.
She's so amused by it. Anyway. Let's see. I like
Dragon, I gotta say, I'm kind of throwing up the white flag on this one. Like, go do whatever you want, but I'm kind of like tuckered out of good things to say about this episode.
Okay, real quick, I like how we reference kind of tonally the beginning of the season with Elektra and Iron Fist kind of facing off against each other. Now they're having that big underground face-off here because there was kind of a subterranean kind of fight they were having when we were teasing the Elektra reveal in episode 1, and now we're kind of showing like them having a big battle underground again. So that's kind of nice. And again, just the simple pleasures, like it's the simple things. Is Gal being hit
is waking up. Is Folgers in your cup?
See, here's the funny thing to you. I know you had mentioned Luke Cage kind of hitting Gal, but I gotta tell you, I saw more Jessica Jones hitting Gal, and that makes me one that amuses me even more.
No. I'm
Second,
not saying Luke Cage hitting Gal. I'm saying the moment where Gal basically force pushes Luke Cage
oh right.
up
Okay, yeah, you're
against the wall.
right. Yeah, because part of me thought like, Luke Cage, he's so delightful. He would never punch an old woman. I don't think Luke Cage would do that. Jessica Jones, not for a moment do I hesitate in thinking she would punch an old woman. I mean, an evil old woman. She wouldn't punch like any ordinary old woman, like an evil, mystical kind of old witch. Like
I
she would
think she
easily.
would touch an old woman who was just kind of like being salty with her.
She would definitely want to, and she'd threaten to easily. But I do love again Luke Cage punch Americami. So yeah, it's about again, folks. There's not a lot. There's not a whole lot. So yeah, that'll do it.
So, Dragon, the timing on this might be a little off, but I'm going to do the best I can. Let's get to some Netflix Nirvana.
Dun 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 dun.
Okay, so this is where we list our favorite moments. I'll go first, because it very much does tie into the Nirvana of it all. So, Dragon, I picked the cold open mostly because it was nice to see Scott Glenn one more time, and I like how it kind of comes full circle with the Elektra storyline of, when we first meet Elektra in Daredevil season 2, she kind of comes across as like the cold-blooded type who doesn't have a lot of feeling for Matthew. But when we get into it, we see that Matt kind of had a profound impact on her, and the other way around. Like, we see that Matt kind of gave Elektra her independence, and that's kind of what I like about the cold open, is that we see that Matt kind of led her on a path where it's not necessarily a path of righteousness by any stretch, but it's a path of independence. You know what I mean? It's a path of choosing what she wants to do and not just blindly following along with someone else. So that's why I really like thematically what the stick stuff touches on.
You're right about that, Teak. It's great that Elektra, we kind of have that juxtaposition of Elektra all hopeful and actually changed by Matt, because she was contemplating a less violent route for a moment. Stick there, and Stick kind of called her out on that, and we juxtapose it now. So that's the thing. We then cut to the whole like, okay, now Alexandra dead. After the whole cold open.
Well, yeah, and don't step on my toes here. Let's talk about that cold open. I really love the we bring back Nirvana. We bring them back for a more slow song. It's an instrumental song, Dragon. And I really like just kind of the cool down from the fight that we had, just kind of showing the aftermath. Unfortunately, it's going to lead to the jailhouse and the 20 minutes of filler and everything, but damn it, it's a nice way to start.
You know what? I can, because again, folks, we have to infuse a little bit of this here and there. I imagine Elektra would comment on this scene. She would be like standing over Jessica Jones saying, "Oh, you can hear Nirvana. That means Jessica's having a happy dream."
Oh God! Oh my God! Oh God! I imagine Nirvana is Jessica Jones's happy place, though, Dragon. That's kind of a pleasant thought now that you break it down.
She looks so cute. Look at her. She's in a Nirvana concert. She's all happy and smiley.
Okay, anyways, go ahead with yours, Dragon.
Okay, my moment is the subway scene.
Oh yeah, how can we forget the subway scene?
It's a great image, and yes, we knew it was coming, but I like that it kind of comes at the right moment, especially in an episode like this, where again, the first watch I'm just taking in stride because you're binging, you're just kind of getting to the end, and it's like, okay, well, we'll see how this stacks up on the rewatch. Again, unfortunately, it doesn't stack up that well, but at least the subway scene, out of everything in this episode, the subway scene is a huge, nothing bad about that subway scene, because it's a very New York problem. It ties into Jessica Jones very well, and again, it's very true to her character in that Jessica Jones. And especially something we're going to keep exploring with her as we go forward in her stories, period, in the Netflix universe, is that she's always been a character who always kind of deals with the realities, kind of the sucky realities of being a superhero in modern day New York, where she's it's like, while we live in a fantastical Marvel universe, we have Norse gods, and we have Norse gods and space ducks, and and talking trees. Well, I have all of this wonderfulness. We have this poor, this poor lady who's she's using her Metro card to get around places. And And Jessica Jones, she's all the bad stuff's befallen her, Kilgrave and everything. Like this one lady is like everything that seems super heroic. Like, hey, I'm gonna don a costume and fight crime. Then cut to, hey, I saved Malcolm. Oh, Jessica Jones, that's wonderful. Come with me for 2 years. I'm gonna make you suffer. It's horrible. It's just poor Jessica Jones. Yes, just that Metro card bit. I love that. It's a very simple, it's a very practical New Yorker solution. It's just someone who knows the place, and you got a PI who knows the place, is providing instant solution. It feels very visually. It's great. It's kind of still shot of just like these three characters like in a blind man. I love the look of Matt Murdock in this episode. By the way, I love that he's wearing like the Harlem PD shirt with the blazer on, and it's him, Luke Cage, the guy in the bullet-ridden hoodie.
Mm-hmm.
And Jessica Jones, she swipes again classically. She's swiping a beer from like a bum on the subway or someone asleep on the subway, and they're kind of looking at her like, really? Now it's been a long week, guys. Again, Jessica Jones. When you really think about it, this while all this chaos is going on, she hasn't really had time to drink as we usually see her do. So it makes sense that she'd have to use a little on E right now.
Yep.
So it's a classic scene. It just very much speaks to the like kind of our grounded New York heroes. Like these aren't the guys getting shawarma, but these are the guys who have to get on they don't have a Quinjet. They got to get on the subway to get from point A to point B.
Yeah, really fun. Okay. Next up, let's take a look at the inciting incidents.
Yeah.
This is, of course, where we trace what's kind of building up to the finale, I guess, really. There's nowhere left to go.
Okay, well, the biggie is the Midland payoff, the Midland Circle, as we've been building to this, and I think they said an episode earlier, but they definitely show it here, is that Midland Circle, we've been seeding this ever since Daredevil Season 1, but we've seen it literally be seeded in Daredevil Season 2, because we saw him dig the giant hole for that building in New York, and that was the hole, and that hole has turned into Midland Circle. So they built a whole building around that, and down that deep, dark hole is where Iron Fist is.
Mm-hmm.
Right now. Let's see, so Misty and Jessica Jones in the interrogation room, again, kind of circling back to where we started the season off with. We're paying off the dragon origin of Iron Fist, and I'll give it this much. Again, I'm not opposed to having like the dragon bones thing. I just wish they explained what the deal with it was, or what the heck's going on there. But regardless, we've been building it up that Danny's been telling this origin story that no one's been believing in, or everyone's just been rolling their eyes at. Like Luke Cage, like, you did not punch a dragon. Of course, we finally show one in this grounded show, so it's like the first big visual we have with all of this.
Yeah. As I already explained, I think the Elektra stuff, like kind of seeing the progression of her character arc, that's pretty satisfying.
Oh yeah, Elektra using her size.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because they are stabby, Matthew.
I love my stabby weapons, and I love it after I get the blood off. They're all clean, so I get more bloody again. I can write my name. If I find
South Park episode is the one where they have the weapons, and Butters gets the she and his eye, and anyways.
Jessica doesn't like it, but sometimes when she's asleep in her apartment, I go in there, and with the blood on my sides, I draw smiley Nirvana faces on the wall.
Oh my god!
And I say,
"Love Electra, going to Danny, this Electra characterization."
Tell Danny I said hi, kissy kissy XOXO.
Okay.
Don't tell Matthew. Anyway, so. Okay, so all of our supporting characters are still at the station, just kind of gathering moss, essentially.
Yep. Like Foggy and Karen are just kind of playing their Game Boy Advanced SPs. They're playing like Dig Dug Advanced or something. I don't know.
I got a thing with Foggy and Malcolm next episode. We'll get there. Anyway, let's see. So the tunnels and the Kunlun doorway, again, like, will that lead to Kunlun? Is it a doorway to Kunlun? Who knows? But, the whole, like, the Iron Fist unlocking the big door that will lead to the dragon skeleton, so whatever. So that does get paid off.
Good resolution for Stick. Like I said, I think there's a nice kind of like good to see Scott Glenn one more time. Good to see Matt Murdock actually emote about it and show some real emotion.
Karen and Foggy accepting Matt's return and also worrying over Matt's return. Importantly, those two characters going to be paired together over this, like explaining what just happened with Matt. So that's That's good. Karen and Matt having a moment together. Again, whether it was too brief a moment or not, they still had a moment together. That's going to have some resonance in the next episode.
Of course, Claire, like Colleen, sort of starting to explain the Claire Phil Coulson thing.
Yeah. Let's see. Ellison. Oh, hey, Ellison calls. Tiki. Ellison calls. He calls the chicken off Karen.
You know what? That would have been almost as exciting as a Ward Meacham cameo.
Oh, we love that Ellison, who, by the way, shows up on the Tick.
Oh, nice, nice.
Okay, let's see. DA Tower is mentioned. Remember DA Tower?
Yeah. Anyways.
Okay, let's see. Okay, Misty finally is on their side, which is going to pay off in the next one. Let's see. Claire patched Matt up off screen, which pisses me off. Let's see. Claire is with the Defenders-ish. Captain Schreiber, who gets on my last nerve, by the way, he's the anti-Gordon in this whole thing. Schreiber was the biggest letdown. On the first watch,
I don't even want to get into it, honestly.
Schreiber, on the first watch,
it's like it's bad writing 101.
Because I remember, Tegan, on the first watch, I was so looking forward. Hey, a new cop character. Misty's had a string of interesting bosses you can compare her by. Maybe Schreiber will be one of those. Who knows? And then I remember the first watch being, well, we didn't really do anything with Schreiber. And the rewatch, oh my God, Schreiber's such a stupid idiot. What is this guy's problem? Yeah. Matt Murdock's identity is in jeopardy, so he's kind of painted into a corner, which will definitely resolve itself in the next one. Jessica Jones and Luke Cage there's an APB out for them kidnapping their lawyer. All right, and by the way, so the Stick and Electra conversation that we talked about, that is post the Roscoe Sweeney affair. So that's right after the scene where the whole plot where Electra would take Matt to try to kill the man who killed his father. That was Stick's big end game. Okay, when Matt does that, he'll be ready and he'll join the fold. He did not do that, so that's kind of she has to answer to that essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, she just disappeared at the end of that scene, so now we know where she went. So that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay, and let's ask the daring question to end out the show, Dragon.
Who's for Chinese?
Who's for Chinese, Colleen? Seriously, Colleen, I need to know so I can get the lunch order right.
Colleen, can I have some Chinese food? I'm feeling peckish.
Oh, God. Okay. So, final thoughts, Dragon. Allow me to go first. I'm kind of throwing my white flag up with this episode. It's very frustrating. It's just kind of twiddling your thumbs. It's going from one room of the precinct to another room of a precinct. It very much feels like they just needed to get all the supporting characters together into one location. And Dragon, you know what the biggest sin is that I feel like episode 8 is a better episode overall, but I feel like the suckiness of this episode kind of it latches on to episode 8. Episode 8 should be way stronger than it is, but episode 8 we kind of have the same basic problems where it's like we just have everyone in the same boring location. We have episode 8 really is going to be a lot of action and not much resolution, which I don't want to jump the gun on that, but
I don't want to. I have stuff. We got stuff to talk about with episode 8, but
I mean, just overall with this episode, from the pretentious title to the time-wasting filler, there's only a couple of redeeming moments in here. There's only a couple of moments where it's, Electra's fun. Jessica has some nice snark to her, but really it's kind of a waste. This is like what people talk about when they say that Marvel Netflix shows don't know how to keep a good pace to them. That's all we got.
And again, it's amazing that literally, again, after having gone through them, again, we'll get to episode 8 when we get there, but honestly, having watched episode 8, it's, I tell you, episode 7 is the one that gives Defenders the bad reputation, because the other ones really aren't that bad. I mean, again, we start really strong, right? The first half is really strong.
Uh-huh.
Then after that, even episode 5 and 6, again, we have some hand issues, but it doesn't kill the show by any stretch. And we have a good finish with Alexandra, but then this episode following that Alexandra move really, I don't know, just really kind of cripples the memory of the experience. And I think that's what people really kind of hold against Defenders at the end of the day. It's for me, it's definitely the weakest of the season for a number of reasons that we've gone through. It's the third episode is. I'm sorry, not third. Sorry, A third. For me, a third of the episode is good. The rest, again, the third being combined, like, the subway and the Electra Danny Rand stuff. For me, like, honestly, the third act is out of this. Even with the actions, he's actually, well, again, we're going to duplicate a lot of it. Next episode is well staged. I'll give it that. The action's well staged in this, and this, again, mainly when they leave the precinct, that's when the episode picks up. Honestly, that second half of the episode's where things are fine.
Yeah, but again, that first half just really drags.
That's the thing. So, like, a third of the episode's good. The rest is spinning our wheels and spelling it out. It's like we're really spelling out the same information we've gone over. We're really just wasting our time. We're kind of like saying, "Oh no, you can't do this. Hey, put an APB out for them." And it's like I wish they would. They gotta, like, they try to. Like, there's an attempt to spice things up with the 3-on-3 action scene and the editing in that sequence, but again, it kind of takes away from the finale. Like, we kind of blew our wad. We had some good direction with that scene. And we have a few forced elements. There's a lot of missed opportunities with this episode. Again, that title and the correlation of what you could have done with that title and with that first half setting. It really doesn't hold up well in the rewatch. And speaking, because we've made a gag out of Colleen, I do want to say this about Colleen. Colleen had a bit in this episode that really ticked me off. I'm pretty sure it's this episode. Where Colleen, it's like, so they're fighting, and I believe it's Luke Cage versus Murakami for a moment. Luke Cage he's easily, bear in mind, of course.
Oh wait, I'm sorry, Dragon. Can we really quick with Colleen? We're gonna drag this out, but how ridiculous is it that they just give Colleen her sword back in the police station?
That was episodes earlier, I thought, though. So
I think that's this episode. I'm pretty sure that's this episode, Dragon.
Could have sworn it's like when she was injured and brought in, they gave her the sword.
You might have been right.
But anyway, here's the ridiculous thing with Colleen. So again, it's very safe to assume, okay, Luke Cage, unless he's going up against, again, legitimately, I don't know if we gave him his due, I just want to give him his due because, like, the last time we'll be able to do it. White Hat did have a moment. I don't know if I brought this up. White Hat did have a moment where he's fighting with Luke Cage in the street, where I did believe, White Hat kind of battling Luke Cage, with the pressure points and everything, he actually might have a shot at kind of beating him. That'd be cool to see. And while, again, with the exception of White Hat, you look at the Luke Cage versus the rest of the hand. I mean, come on, he's pretty sure he's going to be safe, especially if they're using swords against him. The swords are going to break off, right? Logically, the swords would break off. Mm-hmm. So Luke Cage is grappling with Murakami, I think, or maybe it might have been Bakuda. It probably was Bakuda because Colleen came in for the save. So Colleen came in for the save, and Luke Cage asks, "Hey, what are you doing here?" It's like, "You're not safe. What are you doing here?" And she's saying, really uber snarkily, "You're welcome," because she just basically, okay, I stopped the blade and I fought my nemesis Bakudo for a second, and like, what are you being so snarky for? He would have been fine, even if the thing just cut through him. The sword would have broke. If anything, you made things worse. Why are you copying an attitude, Colleen?
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, boy. So yeah, this episode definitely has problems. It's the most flawed. And honestly, if I were to be honest, I mean, again, I'm sure there's some episodes of Iron Fist that might hold count to.
It might be one of the worst episodes of the entire, like, Marvel microcosm.
It might be, but again, Iron Fist kind of blends together, so it's kind of hard to say. There might have been like a one-off of Iron Fist. Like, even Iron Fist has redeeming moments in episodes. This one's like consistently is like, again, it's an episode that really poisons the season, so that's a really bad episode, in my opinion. Anyway, so an episode full of problems. It's a shame.
Now we separate until next time, when Netflix's New Yorkers summon us to mull over the Marvel microcosm that is the Defenders, Colleen.
Sing with me, Matthew and Danny.